It's really cute.
And that's from YouTube, right?
Yeah, a lot of animal sounds.
This was done Kana. This is like, no, after animal.
Oh.
No. It's not one, it's just music.
Okay.
It's called Bleed. I remember there was a movie called,
The first one.
there was a movie called The Fly. It's up against this. Did you hear that? It said boo.
It's Philadelphia's Renaissance radio station, WNJC 1360 AM, Washington Township, Philadelphia. Broadcasting online at WNJC1360.com, a service of Forsyth Broadcasting.
Up next on WNJC is Kevin Storm and the Kevin Storm Show. You just kill it when you want it, alright? That's fine. Okay. I'll record that. Jump in here. Yeah, good test.
You have a lot to learn from me. I see quack, 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 baboon. I'm an animal, please don't hurt me. Pigs are cleaner than your dog, and we're smarter than your dog. And you don't eat your dog, so please don't eat me. We are all animals, but let's all be friends, let's all be friends. We are all animals, we are all things, and our kinship never ends. Loving friends, animal friends.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Kevin Storm Show. This opening song was my mom's idea. I thought it was pretty good though. It's a long song. I'll have my mom post a link to it when she I'll have my mom post a link to it on the Facebook page. Oh, she wants to talk.
Oh no, I'm not ready yet, but I thought you were gonna just go ahead and do the normal little rundown.
But today's guest is
the important dude.
I know his last name.
Seth Tibbott.
Seth Tibbott, founder of Tofurky. I've only been informed an hour or two ago of him being on the show, so I'm a little unprepared, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I don't really have much else to say for the opening, but we're going to bring Seth on, and like I said, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Hi Seth, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
So we met at Farm Sanctuary,
Yeah.
I think.
2011.
2011. Mom, you don't have to keep whispering. Your mic is on.
Oh,
You want to say
sorry.
something? You can say something.
It was a celebration for the turkeys.
Yes. And I remember we were feeding all the turkeys, and my mom was telling me that she has a picture of me running down a hill while being chased by sheep.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
But anyway,
That's not the first time you had Tofurky though.
What?
Our friend Doris Lynn makes the Tofurky roast every Thanksgiving for us.
It's good.
Yeah, he's been eating that since he was a kid.
So, how did you, what?
Go ahead, you're on your own. Go ahead. I'm good.
I'm on my own, thanks.
Well, you don't
how long have you been vegan?
Well, that's a great question. I have been vegetarian since 1972.
Wow.
When I was in college, I became a vegetarian for environmental reasons. I was a environmental education teacher, and I had just read Francis Moore Lepay's Diet for a Small Planet, and which had pointed out that animals were kind of like a protein machine in reverse, and you put like 12 to 16 pounds of grain at the top, and then out came like 1 pound of protein or something like that, and I thought that was very wasteful. So it was for really environmental reasons that I became a vegetarian. And back then, the word vegan really wasn't in use. It was invented, I think, back in maybe the 40s or 50s, but there was vegetarian and then there was pure vegetarian. And after about a year or two of being vegetarian, but not vegan, I became what was known then as a pure vegetarian after visiting a spiritual community in Tennessee called The Farm, who did a lot of pioneering work in the soy foods industry and sort of brought tofu and tempeh into production and consciousness in this country. And I remained vegan for many years, but I really went back and forth, truthfully, between vegetarian and vegan several times during the intervening 30 years. But it's really been, I'm vegan now, and I don't plan on ever being not vegan. So, once you've understood, I think, the animal piece, and not just the environmental or the health benefits for a vegan diet, I don't think you can really ever go back.
Was your family and friends, were they supportive when you decided to go vegetarian?
That's a great question, and actually, my mother was more concerned. She grew up in the 30s and during the Depression and everything, and she had great concern, of course, like many people do. Her big thing was, where in the world are you going to get your protein? And I was like, no worries, Mom. I'm going to be getting it from soybeans. And so I started messing around
list the other day that had a list of protein sources worldwide, that the first one was pulses. And so we had a conversation between the two of us about what pulses are and, you know, how much protein's in them, and obviously like peas are like 80% protein, but we've had tempeh.
Pulses?
Yeah, pulses are,
I don't remember the pulses
they grow in
conversation.
pods, right? Any kind of little,
I
like
don't remember
legumes?
that conversation.
Okay, we'll have it later, I'll show you the chart. But we use tempeh occasionally. I buy just the plain stuff, and we'll slice it and maybe saute it or grill it or whatever and put it on sandwiches. But Kevin likes the tempeh bacon, and we have a friend that makes it really crispy, homemade.
Do you have any children?
I do.
Are they vegan or vegetarian?
Yeah, he's a vegetarian. My son is in college. He's a junior in college. He'll be a senior this year. And, yeah, he's a vegetarian.
Do you raise him that way? I mean,
You know, he was raised, you know, vegetarian. And he, you know, went through a period where he tried meat in high school and then kind of gave it up on his own. You know, it was sort of his choice after he went to college. And that's where he has been in his diet, right? His evolution of diet right now, you know. I mean, I totally understand that. I see so many people making small changes, big changes. Some people just get it right away and become vegan and stay vegan, you know, 30 years, and some people just takes them a long time to evolve into diet. So it's a very interesting thing to watch Luke go through that same sort of decision. And he's pretty much all vegan, really, but I wouldn't call him vegan because he does eat cheese a little bit now and then.
My mom was telling me that she was emailing you, and you mentioned that you were on the West Coast in Seattle, Washington. Why exactly are you there?
Well, actually, I'm in the Tofurky plant is in Hood River, Oregon, which is closer to Portland than Seattle. And I live just across the river in a small town just north of Hood River, so it's actually in Washington State. And I came out to the West Coast in 1974 and landed in
love the description of the building. We know there's a lot of different products now that are Tofurky. And so how did you start making, like, the beginning of the Tofurky roast and all that?
Well, I had been, as a vegetarian and vegan, always struggling to find, like, something great to eat at Thanksgiving. And I had Thanksgiving in the mountains in this small little cabin with a group of my outdoor school friends, who at that time were mostly vegetarians. A lot of them have fallen off that path right now, but we were experimenting with different vegetarian options at Thanksgiving, and we had a stuffed pumpkin that was pretty good, but it really wasn't kind of good enough, I guess. So the next year we tried to make a gluten roast, and it was really tough. We couldn't cut it, with a chainsaw, basically. And so I just kept experimenting, and then in 1995, my friend who I had been selling tempeh to, he has a little sandwich business in Portland. He was making this tofu loaf, this stuffed tofu loaf, and he was making about 30 of them that he was selling for like $50, along with a little tub of gravy to his customers, to 30 of his customers. And I said, well, I have this. We were working on a veggie burger at that time that really didn't taste like a burger, but it tasted like Thanksgiving. It had cranberries and sage and everything in it. And so I said, what about if we made tempeh drumsticks and put it in a box with your tofu loaf and the gravy and call it Tofurky? And he said, that's the craziest idea I ever heard. Tofurky's a terrible name. We should make it some other name. But I, anyway, stuck with it. And you can, by the way, find that recipe online still, the original kind of like Tofurky recipe, where you take tofu and you season it and you put it in you line a colander with cheesecloth and put the tofu in there, and then you take a fist and you pound the tofu in the center of it and put stuffing in the middle, and then flip it out upside down onto a baking pan and then just bake it. That was the first Tofurky recipe. But our recipe has evolved since then. But, we started producing that basic product in 1995, and we used the Turtle Island accounts. We sold it to all our accounts, and we sold 500 of them. And in each of the boxes, we put a little postcard, since most people didn't have email or anything then, and had people write us, how did you like this? And people were just like over the moon, like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting 20 years for this product. I'm not a second-class citizen at Thanksgiving anymore, and it was just like, we felt like, wow, we're really on to something.
Yeah.
If we could just convince the stores to carry this $30 Tofurky product, and that's where it started.
There's new products that they were promoting at, I guess you could say promoting, at the conference
Yeah.
in Alexandria.
Yes.
One of my favorite ones was the spinach pesto sausage. How can we find them and get stores to carry them?
That's a great question. When I first started making products commercially in 1980, the natural food industry was very new, and there weren't a lot of products. So anytime I'd go to a store in Portland, they'd go, great, we'll take these. Do you have any more products? We want to fill up our shelves with something. And that was kind of the mentality.
large, sorry.
Do any of your products have GMOs in them?
No, and that's a great question. And, from the early days before, before there was regulations about organic or, there was even such a thing as genetically modified ingredients, we were always using organically grown soybeans, as the basis for our products, and we still do that today. And on the GMO front, we've never used genetically modified ingredients. And now there's this program called the Non-GMO Project, which is a great project. And what it does is like a lot of people are claiming, oh yeah, this product doesn't have any GMOs in it. But what the Non-GMO Project does is it goes in and it looks at everything that all your ingredients, and you have to provide the paper trail on all the little minor ingredients of the minor ingredients, and they say, oh, you say you're non-GMO? Well, here, prove it to us. And so we've just signed up with them, and we have about half of our products now cleared, and we think by the end of the year, all of them will be certified non-GMO, not just like us saying that it's non-GMO, but a third party coming in and verifying that, that it's third party non-GMO verified. And that's a very important thing because I think we're the only lead alternative that is part of that project and that is trying to do that. And we just feel like it's very important for our customers to be assured that we are who we say we are and we're doing what we claim to be doing.
And all your products are vegan, right? Everything that's wonderfully cheesy and all that?
Yes, all of our products are 100% vegan, and they're all based on organic ingredients and soy.
Thank you so much for that.
All your products are delicious. I know hundreds of people that eat them, but some people are upset about your support of HSUS. Will that change in the future?
You always look at, that's a great question, HSUS, and you always look at groups. HSUS is a group that, gets a lot of complaints from both sides of the spectrum. I understand the people that are complaining about HSUS's support for, I guess what you would call get
I hate-
people's disagreements, and a lot of them, frankly, are quite valid. I have to say that, and a lot of the time, so I think they do miss a lot of the good that HSUS does. So.
Thank you very much for addressing that issue.
We'll be looking for your products at more stores and passing out flyers for Tofurky, but we're really hungry now, so we're gonna end the show with a song. Unfortunately, my mom doesn't have time to do our announcements.
I got 30 seconds.
You got 30 seconds.
Yes, I just wanted to say very quickly that on our way here, we dropped off some of our stray fur babies. There's a spay and neuter clinic, and their website is spayourstraysclinic.org, and they're very inexpensive. They do a monthly date. Their next date, I believe, is the second Sunday in September. And would you please visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/abolitioninmedia. Since we ran kind of short of time today, we'll be, putting some more posts up there later. We have a fundraiser. You can get information about that when you email supportus@kevinstorm.org. And we have a whole bunch of other stuff to say, but we're going to play this song again for the next host to come in. I really like this song. Go ahead and play it. Thank you very much, Seth.
Thanks for being on the show. Bye.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye, Seth.
I think he already hung up, but you can call him back later.